Peace and light, family. I hope that you are well. First off, let me back y'all up a little bit because I feel like we all in each other face. Okay. Okay. I hope that y'all are well, and I hope y'all can still hear me well. It's been a while, family. It truly has been a while. I haven't been live in about 2 weeks, and honestly, it's for a few reasons. Number one, I've been super duper busy doing one-to-one consultations for my regular clients, as well as Peace Robbie, as well as the wellness community. And shout out to the wellness community. I'm sending y'all a lot of love and a lot of light, much peace and abundance and prosperity to y'all, and to everyone as well. But it's been a while, and honestly, not only have I been busy, but I also told myself that I wouldn't go live unless I really had something to say, something that I felt like was important. And, I felt that energy burst. So oftentimes when I will feel an energy burst, when I have something to say and my spirit is moved to speak, I will feel like this like urge, like I have to say this, I have to share this, and I need to express. So then that's when I'll go live. And I told myself, when I get that feeling, I will do it. And y'all, I was watching the film Between the World and Me, well, the film adaptation of the novel Between the World and Me by Ta-Nehisi Coates. And honestly, Archer said she tried to sneak this one in. Honestly, I was watching the film, and in the first 10 minutes, I was so filled up with emotion that I was like, you know what? I am absolutely 100% going to do a live about this. I didn't know. I was like, I'll probably do it tomorrow. I didn't plan on doing it right now. But as I continued to watch the film, I was just so genuinely moved by this film that I have to speak tonight, and I just have to share, because really I just need to unpack it with you all. And I'm not going to do spoilers, because honestly there is no way to spoil it. Thank you so much. Much love to you. There is no way to really spoil it. Like, you have to see this film. So if you haven't read the novel Between the World and Me by Ta-Nehisi Coates, honestly, it's a great novel, but it isn't required to watch the film, because the film is honestly reading the novel to you in a way. And essentially, the novel is a series of letters from Ta-Nehisi Coates to his 15-year-old son. And he's just basically sharing his experience and his view of the world from the perspective of a black father. Now, the beauty of the film is that they wanted to make sure, according to Ta-Nehisi Coates, they wanted to make sure that they incorporated gender fluidity throughout the film. So the film starts out with, letters to my 15-year-old daughter, letters to my 15-year-old son, letters to my 15-year-old brother, my 15-year-old sister. So it's bringing in everyone, and immediately you feel drawn in. Y'all, this film is such an emotional experience. It's such an emotional experience that you literally go through an emotional roller coaster. I feel like what's the song? Vivian Green. I think Vivian Green did the song Emotional Roller Coaster. Last night I cried, tossed and turned. Y'all know that song. I felt like that. I felt like I was on the emotional roller coaster just watching this film. It starts out where, and once again, I'm not going to give too many spoilers, but I am going to kind of somewhat share the timeline and exactly what this film is doing. Number one, the scoring of the film, the music composition, the music direction of the film is amazing. The actors and artists. So the poems from the book are being read by a variety of black voices, from black actors and actresses to musicians to writers, and just everyone that you can think of that is black and known for art, different mediums of art, is in this film, and they are reading these letters. Felicia Rashad, Ti is in there, Black Thought is in there. So many people, like I could go on. Lettucey reads some. So many people are reading, and of course, you got Felicia Rashad and Eli. I call him Papa Pope still, but the father that played Olivia Pope's father in Scandal. Excuse me, brother, for not knowing your name, but y'all know who he is. Y'all know Papa Pope, okay? Papa Pope starts it out, and he got that tone. Y'all know how Papa Pope speak, and he starts out the film, and he's reading first. And then, you know, the letters are read and it goes through the emotional roller coaster that is the Black experience. So as you are watching this film, you are going on that emotional ride of the Black experience. And honestly, I feel like we don't even realize that this is our Black experience. This is what we go through. This is what we feel. I feel like as I was watching it, I didn't realize how like this, all of this emotional roller coaster feelings that I'm experiencing, this is our norm packaged up as Black bodies that we never really acknowledge and we never really openly speak about. And when I say emotional roller coaster, I'm now going to describe it where the film starts out and you know it's a father who has birthed a son and he's nervous and he's scared, but he feels like he must warn his child. So it's letters to my 15-year-old son, letters to my 15-year-old daughter, brother, and all of these people are speaking to their 15-year-old loved ones. And I have nieces and nephews. You know, I don't have children of my own, but I have nieces and nephews. And, you know, my niece is 18 now, 18, 19. She's 19, 18. She's 18 now. One of them, you know what I'm saying? She in college, just went to college. She's 18 now. I have another niece who's a teenager. I have two nephews and a baby niece. So it's plenty of them. So I understand that feeling too. So they drew me in with that emotion of wanting to warn the next generation. I remember sitting down and having a conversation with my nephew who was 9 at the time, and we were watching a documentary about a young Black boy who was killed by the police. And my nephew, who's 9 at the time, does not understand. And he's sitting between me and my sister, who's his mother. And we have to, you know, for me, I want to explain to him what's going on. My sister, who works with the law, she's not ready to share that. She doesn't even know how to explain that because he watches his mother and father, who works. I believe his father does like the ambulance or fire department or something like that. But he basically wears a uniform as well. My sister wears a uniform and a badge. So my sister's not prepared yet to unpack that conversation with my 9-year-old nephew about police brutality when he sees his mother and father both put on a uniform and a badge of some sorts. They're not police officers, but they look like police officers. In his 9-year-old mind, they're like police officers. So she's not ready to have that conversation. And I'm like, well, it needs to be had. And of course, that's her child. So I'm going to be quiet and I'm going to yield the floor. But that awkward moment of like, is he really ready for the truth? And kind of having to take that childhood shield off of his eyes. So immediately as I'm watching the film and it starts out with this, I'm drawn in because I know this feeling. I know this place. I know this emotion. And then the film goes on and he starts reflecting on his own personal life from his perspective. And he's talking about how when he was young and he had to first, you know, you're a child, you got these goggles on of, you know, just a playful child mind. And then you learn about Emmett Till. Then you learn about Malcolm X. Then you learn about Medgar Evers. Then you learn about our history as Black people in America. And that got me thinking how as Black people, we're never pure-minded. You know, we never have the opportunity to start out with a clean slate with America because as children, we're taught the struggle. As children, we're taught the movement. In the film, he reads a poem about how he himself as a child admired Malcolm X. And you got to keep in mind, the whole time he's telling these stories to his child. So he's telling his child how he grew up admiring Malcolm X because of who he was in the movement. And I know this emotion. I know this place. I remember when I was a child and seeing the Nation of Islam walk down the streets and watching Malcolm X movies and understanding the impact that the nation had, knowing the Black Panther Party, knowing Angela Davis, and feeling inspired by all of these people. I remember reading Asada as a very young child and watching the Eyes on the Prize with Asada Shakur. And I remember when that documentary came on PBS, and I'm watching that from a very young age. I can't even remember how old I was. And at that moment, I know my place as a Black girl in America. You know, I know my place. So this emotional space, I know this. I know this emotional space of finding heroes, and your heroes were revolutionaries because that's a reminder that there's always been a fight. There's always been a struggle. And you know this space, you know this fight, you know this struggle. But then you go to college. You go to college, right? So in the film, they go to Howard. He goes to Howard, and you know, you grow up and you know where you are in America. You know your space. You know there's police brutalities. There are killings. So at this time, I'm watching the film and I got this emotional like, damn, this is crazy, you know. And then he transitions and goes to college. I know that space. I remember me personally leaving and going to Savannah State University in HBCU and having that hope again. And the film draws you into that hope. The poems that they read draw you into that hope, that freedom of being at a HBCU, being surrounded by Black kids, being almost in this microcosm of a false reality in the sense, because it is a reality because it's a sacred Black space. And as Black people, we do have that. But it's a false reality because it doesn't last forever. And the world just isn't this way. You know, the outside world isn't this way. And you kind of get sucked up into this hope, into this freedom of education and Black expression when you go to a HBCU. So I'm feeling that emotion. Once again, I know this space, I'm identifying. And then you're in college and some type of police brutality case happens. You know, in the film, they shared the case of Prince, I want to say his name is Prince George. If you know the name or something, Prince something, if you know the name, I apologize to his family. He was a major part of the film. My mind is just going, if you know the name, please put it in there. But he was a young Black man who was murdered in real life. And they're sharing his story and how this impacted his Black experience at Howard University. When I was at Savannah State University and I had on my hope and freedom goggles and I'm feeling free and able to express as a Black person, in my school, we had Troy Davis. You know, we was marching for Troy Davis. We had I was away at in Texas doing neuroscience research and as a representative of an HBCU and doing science fairs. I was a STEM, so I was doing science fairs in another state. And I remember being in Fort Worth, Texas, in a hotel where I was staying because I was at the University of North Texas Health and Science Center doing the neuroscience research. I'm at this hotel that's off campus, and when I was there representing my HBCU, Trayvon Martin verdict was announced. And we're in the middle of Fort Worth, Texas. And there's other HBCU participants who are a part of the scholarship program. We're all together, we're gathered together because we wanted to hold on to each other because we're the only Black team here. The verdict is announced and we hear cheers outside, celebrations, horns honking because George Zimmerman was set free. And we was just devastated. I remember going to breakfast that next morning because we got to go out and work. We got to go to the school. We got to do this neuroscience research. I'm studying phytoestrogens and methods to fight cancer, the effects of phytoestrogens on cancer, using HeLa cells. We were using the cells of Henrietta Lacks. So there's so many layers of this experience, so many emotional layers. But I'm representing my HBCU and we're proud and we're going to do what we got to do because we're making our mark and we're going to enter the science fair. And one of us from one of these HBCUs is going to win. The hope and the freedom starts to dwindle though on the inside. So as I'm watching this film, I'm reminded of that feeling, and they do such an amazing job of telling the stories of the book and bringing you into this emotional experience of, even if you never went to college, even if you don't have this experience, the way that they read the poems, the actors, the compilation of the actors reading the poem, and then there are in one part they're drawing there's paintings, so there's an artist doing paintings. In another part, someone is reading the poems, and there's actual like movie style acting depiction. Then there's some documentary aspects where they're inserting real life clips and news articles and all kind. Like, the film is fucking brilliant, y'all. I have never seen anything like this in my life. The compilation of music, various mediums of art, all of it is actual facts and true storytelling. The poems, the reading of the poems, the news articles, and the presentation of the facts in order to validate what is being stated out of their mouths. This film is edited and put together and performed and presented brilliantly. And the way that they just bring you in emotionally, you feel that hope and that freedom of being away at college, and then a civil rights case hits, and then another civil rights case hits. Somebody else is killed, and now we're marching. Now we're fighting. Now we have to be scared to go down the street. Now we gotta, if we are in cars together, we gotta come up with a plan of if we get pulled over, what should we do? You know what I'm saying? So all of these emotions are happening. And then Mahershala Ali comes and he reads the poem of the love story of meeting his wife at Howard. So now your emotions are kind of brought back down. And this is the emotional roller coaster. You go from being angry, being enraged, being frustrated, being furious, to hearing a beautiful Black love story of you meet your wife, you fall in love, you know, the journey of seeing her, laying eyes on her going to study abroad, her going to meet her family, and the longing for, like, you hear this beautiful love story, and now your emotions are, now you feel the butterflies, and you feel the warmth, and you feel the love. So now your emotions are in a whole nother space. So I'm watching a film, y'all, and look, I got my napkin here, okay, just in case I start crying, because as I'm watching the film, I'm going from enraged to joyful to proud of the revolutionaries and our ancestors that they're talking about, to hope and freedom, to fury and rage, because this hope and freedom is now ruined by the reminder that we're Black in America and anything can happen to you and nowhere is safe. And then now I'm brought to a love story to remind you of the hope and the freedom that lies in Black love and the Black experience. You know, it's just, I'm not a Cancer, I'm an Aquarius, which should be even more telling of how emotionally impactful this is, because y'all know Aquarius are known for not being very emotionally attached and invested. So the fact that I was all in here, you know, I was, when Mahershala Ali, and we all know how Mahershala Ali, you know, Green Book, Oscar winner, so many other films, Moonlight, Mahershala Ali is amazing. So as he's saying these poems, he's performing the poems, and then they have the actors acting it out, and you're seeing it. Y'all, that was just like, now I got butterflies and chills, and Black love, this is beautiful. And then you have a son, you have a baby. You know, now the nervousness kicks in and you feel that emotion of, okay, now you have the weight of having a new child. And then you're walking down the streets of Brooklyn and your child is bumped by a white woman. And as a parent, you feel disrespected because you're reminded once again of the old. You're reminded of when our ancestors had to step off the sidewalk if a white person was about to walk past them. You're reminded that you basically have no space, till this day, have no right, and are treated as though you have no right to be on this sidewalk. So now you go from that love story to the fury and the rage is kicking back in. It's kicking back in, because now it's like, damn, I know this place. I remember that. I remember the feeling of walking past white people on the street and feeling a type of way because you don't know how to respond. You know, for me personally, who grew up very militant, I was already like, listen, it's whatever, what's up? You know, but also knowing that that's not safe. And that whatever what's up could cost me my life. You know, so this man is with his son. This white woman bumps his son, and he responds in the same way, like, you're not going to disrespect my child. A white man comes to her defense, and as he's telling the story, he's reminded that he ain't on his side of Brooklyn. He's not on the Black parts of Brooklyn, because if you're not a New Yorker, and even if you're not a New Yorker, you may also notice, but New York is very segregated. People call it the melting pot, but it's not the melting pot. I call it the chunky stew. New York is very segregated. We have a Little Italy. We have a Spanish Harlem. You have your Black areas of Brooklyn. You have your white areas of Brooklyn. And even in the Black areas of Brooklyn, those are also segregated. You have your West Indian neighborhoods. You know, you have your more African neighborhoods, or people from directly from the continent. You also have that in Harlem, 116, all of that. You know, you got East Harlem, which is like Spanish Harlem. Y'all know, so New York is very segregated. So what he describes is that feeling of knowing that you ain't on your side of New York. You're not on your block in New York. You ain't where you from, so you're outnumbered. Now, all of these white people are surrounding him. And as they're describing the story, of course, I'm thinking back to The Color Purple when Miss Sophia told Miss Millie, the white woman, that what Miss Millie asked her to come clean her house, and what Miss Sophia said, hell no. You know, nigga, what you said? I said, hell no. I was immediately brought back to that black experience and that depiction, and he's speaking of his real life. You know, so that's the emotional roller coaster again, because now you know the feeling. We know that space as black people. We know the feeling of being enraged and being furious and feeling like you got to protect what's yours. And what they keep bringing up is the policing of black bodies. You got to protect your black body. Our bodies is all we really technically have. And throughout the entire film, when they speak of police brutality, when they speak of this white woman bumping this little black boy and his black father coming to his defense and her whole white neighborhood coming to her defense and him having to retreat because he realizes that he's outnumbered, and the guy tells him, I could get you locked up. I could make you go to jail. I could get you arrested. And once again, you're reminded that your body does not belong to you. You don't have precedence over your body. And as black people, we know that space. You know that space. I don't care who you are. I don't care how revolutionary you are. We all know that space. We know the space of having to question, is this safe? Is this worth it? Of knowing that your body, your personal space, your rights, something has been violated as a black person because you are a black person, even if it's just feeling unseen, even if you don't like what somebody is saying at your job and you feel like if they're making microaggressions and you have to decide, is me speaking up worth my job? We've all been in those spaces of contemplation. And you got to ask yourself, is it safe to protect my black body? Is it safe to defend my people and to defend my rights to exist? We all know that space. So once again, the film draws you in emotionally. It draws you in, and now you go somewhere else on the emotional roller coaster, and you're thinking about the time that you felt this way. You know, so the film is so full of empathy, really empathy. And even if you are not a black person, even if you are not black and you watch this film, they do such a good job of describing the moment, describing the emotions. Of course, the actors and I can't even say actors because it's more than just actors. It's musicians. Like I said, T.I., Black Thought, Lettucey, they were reading poems. It's the way that the artists are reading the poems that brings the emotional life. And of course, so I'm a film person. I like to study the layers of film. I pay attention to everything, the direction, the editing, the musical score, the transitions, the cuts. I pay attention to everything. And the way, that's why I keep saying the way the film is created and manifested is just brilliant. I've never seen anything like this in my life. I've never, and I watch films, I watch documentaries. I've never seen anything like this in my life. Between the World and Me, it's on HBO Max. I watched it on HBO Max. It's out here, it's available. It premiered today at 8 o'clock, but I don't know how long it'll be on there, but please watch this film because that's not even the end of it. But you know, my intention really with this is to unpack the emotional experience of the film and all that it is, and really the emotional experience of being black in America. Because I think once again, what I realized as I was watching this film, I was like, yo, this shit got me emotional. And once again, I'm not even that type of person like that. Like I don't be crying at too many movies. You know what I'm saying? Something gotta happen to move me, to make me, shed a tear. You feel me, at a movie. Y'all, from the first 10 minutes, I was there. I was emotional because they do such a good job of drawing you in. And as I'm watching it, I'm realizing that, like, yo, how I feel within this last 2 hours or less than 2 hours, how I felt, all the emotions, this is the black experience. This is what we feel. This is what we feel, but we're so used to it. It's so normalized to us. It's so regular to us to feel this way. It's so normal to walk around day to day and feel this way that we don't even realize that all of these feelings that this film is pulling out, from hope, freedom, sadness, depression, anger, fury, pride, revolution, all of these emotions that's coming out of this film, we bear this every single day. Every day. Like every moment of the film, once again, I know this place. I've been here. I know what it's like. Even towards the end where they bring it back to present day, and you guys, they do such a brilliant job of, how like back in the, I can't even say back in the day, but how we come up once again learning Black history. So we watch the Freedom Riders movie, and we watch Boycott, we watch Selma's and Malcolm X movie and documentaries, and we see Black people being beaten because they're protesting, the water hose turned on them, the dogs turned on them. At the end, they show you the 2020 version. The 2020 version. And because we're living through it, and we have been living through it, I don't even think we realize how it's the same thing. It's the same thing. They pan from the 1960s civil rights movement and Black people being beaten and arrested and hogtied and drugged by police. And then 2020, Black people being beaten, hogtied, run over, drugged by police during protests. So we know this place. We know this place. We know this place. We know this emotion. We know this feeling. We know that we've been here before, generation after generation after generation. We've been here before, and we carry all of this weight. We carry the progress of our ancestors. We carry the strength of our ancestors. We carry the hopes and the dreams of our ancestors, but also we carry the revolution. We carry the struggle. The struggle still goes on. The struggle still continues. So, and y'all know me, I'm big on ancestor veneration. Shout out to the wellness community. Y'all know how we do. I'm big on ancestor veneration. Hello. Y'all can see a little piece of my ancestor altar. You can't show your whole altar in the camera, but y'all see a little piece of my ancestor altar. I'm big on ancestor veneration. And as much as I'm proud, and I know that we carry their strength, their love, their hope, their dignity, their pride, their revolution, we also carry the struggle. We also carry that. And this film does such a great job of, once again, bringing to life the Black experience, making it a real thing, showing you what it is. Everything from being a child playing on the playground to the first time you learn about Emmett Till, to the first time you learn about those 4 little girls that burned in that church, to the first time you hear about Tulsa, the first time you learn about the assassination. I knew about the assassination of Dr. King before I knew the whole story of Dr. King. I knew about the assassination of Malcolm X before I knew the whole story of Malcolm X. You know what I'm saying? The fact that we learn it backwards, the fact that we're taught that if you are a revolutionary, you will be murdered before we are even taught how to be a revolutionary is problematic. So that part, hope, freedom, education, how many Black people, as I'm watching the film, I'm thinking about the number of Black people like myself who were first generation college students. That's even crazy that we still have first generation college students in Black America. In America, we have first generation college students. And we've been here. We've been here. Why do we still have first generation college students? And we've been here. We built this. We built these colleges, but we still have first generation college students? That's crazy. But still we go anyway, and we do it anyway, and we give it a shot anyway. We try to go to college. We try to live the American dream. And this is another thing. I was also reminded of how, like, deep down inside, and granted, I'm going to just say this. I'm going to say this caveat first. Not all Black people may feel this way, but a lot of Black people, deep down inside, especially Black Americans, deep down inside, I'm not even gonna say just Black Americans because I've traveled, and Black people all over the world, a lot of Black people deep down want the American dream. We want it, and we wish we could have it. We wish we could live in peace and in harmony, and we could go to school and have be treated as human beings and have equal rights and equal opportunities and be paid equally and be able to have children and go to schools and get educated and have the American dream that's painted on the movies and TVs, the white picket fence and the beautiful house, and mom is baking cookies when you get home. A lot of black people wish we could have that, but we've been taught for so long that we could never. We could never. And we still try. We still attend your colleges because we hope that maybe one day we could have something close to it. We still try to make it in your Hollywoods, your New York Cities, your Atlanta, Georgias, your Chicagos, and these beautiful Meccas that we have now had to create our own little microcosms of Meccas. We still try to make it in your towns of success because deep down inside, we just want to have a little bit of the American dream. Deep down inside, we do, but we're constantly reminded that the American dream does not include us. It doesn't include us. We're not a part of that American dream. It was never for us. And it also wasn't for a lot of other people who desire it who aren't black. The American dream did not include Indian people. The American dream didn't include Native American people. The American dream didn't include Mexicans and Puerto Ricans and Dominicans and Haitians and Jamaicans. And the American dream didn't include you. It didn't include you. The American labor did. The process of the American dream, the American economy included you. It needed you because it's built off of your back or for our back. But we were not included, and we're constantly reminded of that. And a part of us, I'm going to speak for myself on this part. For me, when I traveled the world, for y'all who know me, I traveled. I went to a few countries. I'm not even about to go through this. I went to quite a few countries and I traveled the world. I did a solo traveling for a year. And even before that, my first time ever leaving America was when I was in college. I went to Ghana, West Africa. And every time I traveled, I'm going to be honest, I felt patriotic. I felt a little patriotism grow in me to where I recognize the beauty of what it means to be born in America. So a lot of black people will say, and I want you to hear me completely. Let me finish the entire statement. Because I do understand as a black person, it could be jarring to hear a black person even mention being patriotic. But let me explain what I'm saying. When I was traveling the world, and I'm going to these countries, for example, I was in Ethiopia, and I remember waking up in the morning and, going through my morning routine. You wake up in the morning, you go to the bathroom, go to brush your teeth and turn on the water, and the water wasn't running. I remember having to close the windows because the air quality was so toxic that if you were outside for more than an hour and a half, it was a chance that you would pass out because of the amount of fumes that was in the air. So everybody had to be inside with the windows closed. We don't have fans. The electricity that was running the building was not even enough to sustain a fan. Our lights was going in and out, And it's moments like that you like, damn, this is shit that we don't even think about in America. We don't even think about being in South Africa, which is beautiful. South Africa is very developed. South Africa is extremely close to America. I always tell y'all, I was in South Africa, I was shocked because there's Popeyes and Uber. We taking Ubers everywhere and all kind of stuff. It's just like America. But there's load shedding where there's a schedule, a set schedule of periods of time throughout the week where you will not have electricity because electricity has to be evenly distributed throughout the entire I was in Joburg, throughout the entire Johannesburg. So they do what they call load shedding. You can research this. And I remember me and my friend, we got an apartment together, beautiful 2-bedroom, 2-bathroom apartment, gorgeous, beautiful neighborhood. But still, we got to look at the schedule because for these few hours, we won't have lights today. We won't have lights today. That's shit that we don't even have to think about in America. So when I say my patriotism started growing when I traveled, because I do recognize that there is an American privilege. There's a lot of shit like if you pay your water bill, you don't have to worry about water coming out of your faucets in most communities, okay? Because I will not even consider having this conversation without bringing up Flint. I will not consider talking about water in America without bringing up Flint and many other spaces throughout the world where our water was contaminated, like Jersey. There was lead contamination in Jersey. Schools in Harlem had lead contamination. So we're not going to even, I'm not dismissing that, but I am saying that yes, I appreciated living here and being here, because I did realize how in America it's a privilege. This is a privilege to wake up and have a morning routine that you don't have to be concerned about your water being on or your lights being on, that you don't have to set your schedule according to the times of when you'll have electricity. That is a privilege. So as I do recognize that, I cannot that does not overshadow the fact that we are not safe here as Black people. All of that does not overshadow the fact that I can't walk down the street past a cop without holding my breath. That does not overshadow the fact that I have fear for my Black brother and my nephews and my sister and my nieces and my cousins and my friends. That does not fear that I have not had to contemplate at one point or another, what would I do if I ever got the phone call that my brother was murdered by police? I've thought that thought. And anyone who has a brother, a husband, a boyfriend, a son, a cousin, anybody, you probably have thought it too if you are Black. You probably have imagined yourself getting that phone call, standing up at that podium. If you have empathy, there's no way that you didn't watch the girlfriend of Philando Castile speak, crying, sharing her story of watching her man die, but knowing that she couldn't turn the camera off because nobody would believe her. It's no way that you watched that and didn't feel or imagine, what would I do if I ever had to go through watching somebody I love be murdered by the cops in front of me? Would I have the strength? That's the Black experience. The fact that we even have to think that way, that is the Black experience. The fact that that thought even crosses our mind is the Black experience. The fact that I was a teacher teaching Black boys when I was teaching high school at the time. I taught elementary, middle, and high. When I was teaching high school at the time, and I'm working with 17, 18-year-old majority boys, and I was working with kids who recently came home from Rikers. This is before we did the Raise the Age campaign. So this is when 16-year-olds were being arrested and sent to Rikers Island, which is an adult prison. So I was working with children who were coming off of Rikers Island, and these boys are damaged and broken. And if you're familiar with Khalif Browder was one of our clients. You know, I'm working with these boys who are clearly broken, are clearly damaged, and got to go back to the hood every single day. And the worst experience I had, hands down, was when one of my students was shot in front of the school, and he runs back into the school. We call the cops, and we call for an ambulance, and the cops come first. It took a long time to come, but the cops come first, and they come flooding and swarming into the school. And this is real life. The first question they asked him was not, "Are you breathing?" Was not, "Are you okay?" Was not, "Where are you shot?" The first question was, "What gang are you in?" What gang are you in? That was their first question on both my grandmother's graves. Their first question was, "What gang are you in?" Thank God for the brothers who was there with me and standing. It was we all band together. The whole agency, everybody came. So some of the other students who were still there, they was all there, and everybody started going in. So it's us versus the cops. But once again, we're outnumbered. But at the end of the day, that's not going to shut our mouth. So we know the risk that we're taking. You know, I go in the ambulance with my student. It's just me and him. I'm trying to call somebody in his family. They're not answering. It was crazy. But this is a Black experience. This is a Black norm. And I'm watching the cops who how crazy is this? We finally get in the ambulance. 2 officers get in with us. So it's me, I'm in the back, my student is on a stretcher in front of me, the ambulance worker's on this side, ambulance worker on this side, a cop right here, and a cop right here, and I'm at the head, right here, over his head, and I'm just trying to, I'm whispering in his ear, but I'm calling his family, and I'm just telling him to breathe, relax, you are well. I'm like reciting mantras in his ear. I'm in one ear reciting mantras. The cop is in his other ear asking questions, and they're trying to back me up and shut me up because I'm speaking life. Y'all are blaming him for what could have been his death. And they when we got to the hospital, they wouldn't allow me even in the room. They separated us immediately. The cops are questioning me, and all of this is Black experience. This is Black normal. Welcome to New York. You know what I'm saying? And I think about how many people who live in the South and live in other areas want to come to New York because they think this is the city of dreams and this is where you can make it. And not to say that that can't happen, because a lot of people do come to New York and make it, but a lot of people don't. A lot of people die. A lot of people, especially young people born and bred right here in New York City, have never had the opportunity to make it out because, contrary to popular belief, small town mentality exists everywhere. It's not just in little towns in Georgia, little towns in Florida and Mississippi, and it's not just there. Small town mentality is here in New York City. I know kids who never left the Bronx. I know kids who've never left Brooklyn. You know what I'm saying? So this is the Black experience. And the thing with this film, Between the World and Me, is that it opens you up to all of that. It's a 2-hour reminder of what it means to be Black in America. It's a 2-hour reminder of all the emotions that we hold on to as Black people in America. It's a 2-hour reminder of our strength. Because for us to have been through all of this and to still go through all of this and have all of these norms, because once again, what I'm speaking of is a norm, and our norm shouldn't be a norm, but it is. We don't even realize how we normalize these things. We don't realize how we have normalized the fear of getting pulled over by police. How we have been forced to normalize having these conversations with our Black boys and Black girls. We don't realize how, Sandra Bland comes on this TV screen and we got to explain to our children who Sandra Bland is and what happened to her. 2020 alone, where it's the middle of a pandemic, but we got to explain to young people, this next generation, why we're still marching. While we're still doing the same thing we was doing in 1960 something and really in 18 something, because that's another thing. People think that, our ancestors have only been marching and protesting from the civil rights movement. The civil rights movement continues, and it's a continuation. Our ancestors never ever just laid down and took shit. Okay? They never just laid down and was ever okay with who we are and our place in America as Black people. We had ancestors who were enslaved, who revolted. We had ancestors who didn't even make it across the Middle Passage because they revolted on that damn boat. Okay, so we don't come from a people who has ever laid down and taken a damn thing. Okay, so when you have to explain this to your children, you got to explain to them who Toussaint Louverture is, and you got to explain to them. I was talking to one of my little cousins about Jaime Hansu, and I was telling them about Amistad. I'm explaining to them about Nat Turner. So I'm talking to them about the revolutionaries from back then. And if I talk to them about the revolutionaries from back then, that means I got to talk to them about the oppression from back then. I gotta explain what happened during that transatlantic slave trade. I got to explain who we were before then. Before our civilizations, our families, our colonies, our safe spaces, before our home was invaded. Before it was invaded, our sacred space that is the prosperous, abundant motherland that was invaded, who we were. How everything that we have, from this microphone to this water bottle to everything, this juniper, the lighter that I used to light it, everything, some process of it, Africa was a part of it. Africa was a part of it. Everything around you, trust and believe, Africa touched it first. Africa touched it first. So I got to explain that to them. And then I got to explain how we got here and what happened. I'm explaining Toussaint Louverture in Haiti and, my father's family in Panama and how they got there from St. Vincent and all of that. I got to explain all of it, and then we get into the depths of America. We get into the depths of the slave-ridden South, as well as the North. Something else they brought up in the film, once again, between the world and me, Ta-Nehisi Coates, but it's a film adaptation. HBO, please tune in. Something else they brought up in the film that a lot of people don't know, and I'm so glad they told the story, was the World Trade Center, Ground Zero. See, a lot of people, we talk about slavery in the South, but a lot of people don't talk about the enslavement of Black people in New York City, too. And a lot of people are not aware that Ground Zero was once a slave auction. That's where slave auctions took place, was Ground Zero, where the World Trade Centers were. It used to be auction blocks there. Okay? Let's be clear. And something that was brilliantly said, yes, Wall Street as well. Something that was brilliantly said in the film was Bin Laden wasn't the first terrorist that touched Ground Zero. Terrorism existed in Ground Zero before any foreign entity ever touched it. Okay? We are the original victims of terrorism at Ground Zero, but nobody talks about that. We just brush over that history. The World Trade Center was built on top of Black bodies. There used to be a burial ground, an African burial ground. Okay? But we don't talk about that. So this film, they do a great job of bringing up that history. You know what I'm saying? A great job of bringing up that history. So when we're talking to our next generation and we're explaining all of this information, and the thing is, I was talking to my friend yesterday. She has a son. Once again, I don't have children. I just have nieces and nephews, and I students and everything. And I do understand there's a difference. And we were talking about having to have the conversation with the babies. When do you have the conversation? When I was teaching middle school, I showed my middle school kids, sixth graders, I showed them the autobiography of Malcolm X, the film. And we watched the whole thing, and we stopped and paused and stopped and paused, and we talked, and they were fascinated. People would think that kids that age would be bored. No. You know why they were fascinated? Because most of them had never been told this part of the story. Most of them had not been told, and I do apologize in advance for the parents who I may have pulled the wool away from your kids' eyes before you were prepared to have that conversation. But we unpacked it. I unpacked it for you as much as I could, and I do know that there was a lot of residual. So I do apologize to parents who were not ready. But if you're going to be in Miss Poe class, you're not going to touch Miss Poe's classroom and not be aware of Malcolm X. You're not going to touch Miss Post. I don't care what age you are. When I was teaching elementary school, doing Freedom School, I got on a Harambe CDF, Children's Defense Fund Freedom School. Ella Baker, shout out to Ella Baker. When I was doing Freedom School, elementary school kids, we going to have a conversation about Malcolm X, and we're going to talk about Claudette Colvin. And, Claudette Colvin was Rosa Parks before Rosa Parks. If you're not aware, I'm going to explain to you why Rosa Parks was chosen, and we're going to have conversations. And, we're going to make it age appropriate, but we're going to have these conversations, So when I'm watching the autobiography of Malcolm X, I was telling my friend, I watched this with my students, and she was saying for her, that's a little too early. So now me and my friend, we got to have this conversation because she has a son. So we're just like, when do you think it's appropriate to have this conversation? At what age would you want to talk to your child? Because as Black people, once again, we got to think like that. That's a norm for us. That's the norm for us. We as a village, because we are a village, I'm a part of her village, and that's a whole nother conversation, because a lot of Black people like to say the village is dead. I saw this thing going around on social media where this Black girl was comparing the Black families to an Indian family, and she was basically like, Black people don't have a village. And we do have a village. We do have a village. Black people have a village. The question is, are you honoring your village? This is my friend. My friend, I appreciate you, Unknown Nerd. Thank you so much. I appreciate you. But this is my friend. I'm a part of her village. Okay, I'm a part of her village. For the wellness community, we're a part of each other's villages. We're a part of each other's spiritual village. We have a community where we tap in every day and we hold each other accountable and we lift each other up in prayer. That's all a village, So you gotta honor your village. Black people, our village has not gone nowhere. So we gotta get rid of that narrative. We can't allow that narrative to taint our community. Because me being on the phone with my friend and she has a son and us even having a conversation, we're doing this part as a part of each other. We're doing our part as a part of each other's village by even having this conversation of when are you going to talk to your black son? What will you tell your black son? How are you going to have this conversation? What age are you going to have this conversation? You know what I'm saying? That's village work. That's village work, so once again, that's just a norm for us as black people to have to think about our black children. And at what age are you going to pull the wool away from their eyes? At what age are you going to remove the goggles? When are you going to tell them about Emmett Till? When are you going to show them the picture of him in that casket open? When are you going to tell them about the 4 little girls in Birmingham? When are you going to tell your son? When are you going to tell your daughter about Ruby Bridges and about integration of schools? When are you going to allow them to watch the autobiography of Malcolm X? When are you going to explain to them about Nat Turner and Toussaint Louverture and all? When are you going to have these conversations? When? Is it only going to be cartoons? At what age? And not to say that one has to go away to bring the other in, but I'm saying at what age are you going to decide to do both? Because if you want to raise a black child, you have to, in order to raise a black child that is successful, fully holistically successful, you gotta show them who they are. You gotta tell them who they are. You gotta help them realize and know who they are. So at what age is it safe for you? These are questions that we have to ask ourselves as black people. As a black woman, watching Nikki Giovanni, she recently did an interview on The Breakfast Club, and she was explaining her stance. She had that conversation with James Baldwin years ago, and she basically said that she wants her man to lie to her. When she was talking to James Baldwin, she was like, lie to me like you lie to them. You go to work all day and you grin at that white man, come home and lie to me that way. I get the worst of you. I love you the most, and I get the worst of you because you come home and you relax and you chill and you take the mask off that you've had to wear all day to survive out in the world. You take the mask off, and I just get the leftovers. I get the worst of you. I get treated not as good as you treat them. So in the conversation with James Baldwin, she was saying, lie to me too. So on the Breakfast Club, they asked her about that statement, and she clarified what she meant, and she did not back down and said she still feels the same way, that as a black woman, you shouldn't get the leftovers. You shouldn't get the extras. You shouldn't get when he takes off the mask that he had to wear out all day at work. What are you going to be willing to accept as a black woman? So as I'm watching Between the World and Me, the film, and Mahershala Ali does a great job of telling this love story of meeting his beautiful wife, as a black woman, I'm thinking about his black wife in real life, because he's telling the love story from the book. Once again, this is after Ta-Nehisi Coates' book, Between the World and Me. And they're just reading his poems. So Mahershala Ali, he's telling the story of the book, so he's not even telling, I gotta make sure my lip gloss situation is okay. But he's not even telling his actual love story. But as I'm watching it, I'm thinking about Mahershala Ali's real wife. And I'm thinking about her being married to a Muslim black man in Hollywood. This is a black Muslim man in Hollywood, and you're his wife. Does he wear a mask to survive? When he comes home, does he take that mask off? Do you want him to lie to you and pretend, or is he allowed to be his whole, bare, sometimes angry self? What do you want as his wife? And then as a black man, what type of life, what type of living is that? What type of living is that you have to wear this mask? That even if your wife was to say, I need you to lie to me, treat me as good as you treat them. So at what point can you take off the mask? At what point can you be free? At what point can you release the rage? So then do you become a black man who's all bottled up and filled with rage because you can't even come home and release because you don't want to release all that shit on your wife? You know what I'm saying? So when can you release? When can you express? When can you just breathe? And that's the feeling that I left the film with. Great recommendation, K-Dub. K-Dub said meditation, which, they didn't really touch too much on spirituality, which could also be a solution. But, when we're talking about love and we're talking about a collective, meditation is great, but sometimes niggas just need somebody to talk to. Meditation is good and going within is good. I'm an avid meditator. Y'all know that. But also, I thrive from having conversations. Like just watching this film, I was like, I got to unpack this, And I was telling everybody to watch it. I put it in if you follow me on Instagram, I put it in my stories. I put it in every group chat I'm in. I put it in all my group chats and all of that stuff. Like, y'all got to watch this at 8 o'clock tonight. But sometimes you need to have dialogue. You need to be able to verbally express. That's also releasing emotions. That's breath work. As you speak and you breathe, that's breath work. That's emotional release. You know what I'm saying? So that's healthy. We need to be able to have dialogue. And if you are a black man and you going through all the shit you go through in the world and you got to wear the mask, and then you come home and your wife is saying, nah, lie to me. Treat me as good as you treat them. Basically, wear the mask for me too. At what point can you breathe? At what point can you do your dialogue, breath work, and release that tension and emotion? Where is your safe space? And as black people, both men and women, it's a constant question of where is our safe space? Where is our safe space? Holistically safe. Is it with our village? Is it in your group chat? Is it in your family? Is it in your friends? In your friend group? Where is your safe space? Where can you release? Where can you do your breath work? Where can you take off your mask and be free? What is your safe space? And I'm not saying that we don't have one. I just listed a few that you may have. But I do urge everyone to identify it. Identify your safe space. What is your safe space? So the beauty of this film is that not only did it take me on an emotional roller coaster, not only did it cause me to reflect and identify each and every single moment where I felt this before. I know this place. I felt this. I know what these emotions come from. I've had a similar experience. Not only did I feel that, but I also left with questions. I left with questions about me as a black woman, as a black person, as one day somebody's mother, as currently somebody's aunt, as somebody's lover, somebody's friend, somebody's sister, somebody's daughter, somebody's something. We're all somebody's something, but most importantly, we are ours. We are ours. I am. You know what I'm saying? I left that film with so many questions about how I show up in all of these roles, but most importantly, how I show up for myself. How I show up for myself. So I do urge you to watch these films and answer the questions. Watch this film, Between the World and Me, HBO. It's on HBO Max. You can pull it up right now. Watch this film. Feel the emotions. Listen to the poems. Listen to the score, the music. Listen to the score. Watch the depiction. Watch the depictions. Read the little article clips that they put up. All at the same damn time, and feel the emotion. Watch the art be painted in front of you. Watch the real life faces. Watch the protests and feel it and think. And then answer the questions. Answer the questions that it leaves you with. Where's your safe space? How do you feel being black? When is it okay to have the conversations? What would you tell your 15-year-old self? What would you tell the 15-year-olds around you? How do you feel about being black in America? Do you want to stay? Do you want to leave? What do you want to do? What do you want to do? Because that's often the question for black people. Do I want to stay black in America? I went through that myself. I told y'all when I left and I was like, I'm out of here. And I packed up all my shit and put it in storage and let everything go. And I was like, I'm moving to Africa. Y'all see the video. It's still up. I moved to Africa, y'all. I've been there. I know that feeling. I know that place. You know what I'm saying? So ask yourself that. Do you want to stay? Do you want to go? Do you want to build home here? If you build home here, what are you going to tell your children? What are you telling your children, your grandchildren? Also, it left me with the question of, have you left a mark? Have you left a mark? Have you left a dent? Have you changed something? Even if it's just a person, have you changed something? Have you sparked anything? What has been your step in the progress for us as a community? You know, what has been your step of progress? What have you done? It leaves you with that question too. Orange Moon asked a great question. She said, shouldn't your home be your safe space? Is your home your safe space? Ideally, your home should be your safe space. But if, according to Nikki Giovanni, her husband should come home and lie to her. He can't come home and live in truth. Is that how you feel about your significant other, your partner? Do you want them to keep the mask on for you? You know, is the home a safe space for them? Is her husband gonna feel safe? If he can't even be free and express and take the mask off for his wife because it makes her uncomfortable, the home is safe for her, but is it not safe for him? So these are conversations we gotta have with our lovers. You know, that clip from that interview with Nikki Giovanni and James Baldwin, that's something that you need to sit down and watch with your lover and ask them how they feel. You know, because there may be an unspoken agreement that, look, we talk about whatever, but also you may not realize that sometimes you may be dumping on your spouse and your spouse may not even be emotionally equipped to hear that and receive that, all that you're dumping on them. So sometimes they may reveal like, nah, I do want you to lie to me sometimes. Sometimes I don't want to hear your truth about what's going on in the world. I do need you to wear your mask in this house sometimes. You don't know what's going to come of that conversation. So that may be another conversation starter between you and your lover, you know. But once again, so many layers. Natty, I think Natty said, she said, Queen, do you see yourself staying in the States, or do you do you feel you see yourself somewhere else? So do I see myself staying in the States, or do I see myself somewhere else? Honestly, I don't know. I don't know. I don't have an answer to that right now. I really don't. It's something I think about every day. I think about every day. I lie to you not. I thought about it today. I price plane tickets all the time and then change my mind. I think I think about it every single day. Do I see myself staying here in America and raising children here in America, or do I want to go somewhere else? And as I've expressed before in the past, the reason that I returned to America after my first repatriation to Africa, the reason I returned is because I was hurt by what I found. I was hurt. That's the only way I could describe it. I was hurt. I was disappointed by what I found. And a lot of it was because, like most of Black Americans, I was looking for an oasis. I was looking for a safe space. So as I'm traveling these countries and I'm going space to space, I'm looking for a safe space that I can be me, be Black and be woman. Be Black and be woman somewhere. And every country I went to, one of them shits was an issue. One of them was an issue. Okay? Whether if it was not feeling safe as a woman and almost being raped, real experience, being followed multiple times, real experience, or not feeling accepted as a Black person, a Black American person, not feeling welcomed or wanted, not feeling comfortable in one of the countries, not feeling comfortable as a non-Muslim, not non-Muslim conforming, like physical conforming. I'm not a hijabi. I'm not, I don't wear niqab and all of that stuff. And if you go to Muslim countries, as a woman, it's almost a requirement. It is a requirement. And I'm not one to conform, so I don't want to. Y'all know I like to dress snazzy when I dress. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm creatively expressive in my style and my clothing. So for me, I'm all about freedom, and that's the thing. I only went to a few countries. I have not been everywhere, and I am open to trying again. I'm open to trying again. I'm open to hitting the road again, and or hitting the sky again, right? And catching flights and finding a space where I can be free and be Black and be woman and be prosperous and be abundant and be safe. That's the oasis for me. That's the oasis. I want to be able to wake up, have my garden, plant my fruits and my vegetables. I want to be able to pick fruits off of my trees and vegetables from my garden and be able to go cook something beautiful. And I want to be able to share with my neighbors and, raise children and have them educated and homeschooled, but also community schooled as well. I want my children to be able to play outside and feel safe and feel comfortable. And me as a mother not have to worry. I want my husband to be able to, do what he does and prosper and be well and not have to worry. I feel like as Black people, oftentimes we are just tired of worrying. We're tired of worrying. Absolutely, K-Dub, we ain't asking for too much. We are tired of worrying. I want to go somewhere where I ain't got a low-key worry. I don't have to be concerned about safety. You know what I'm saying? That's what I want to do. And that's the oasis that I'm looking for. I'm looking for that type of oasis, that type of safe space where I don't have to worry. I don't have to be concerned. I don't have to be scared for myself, for my children, for my family, for people I love, and for people who I don't even know. Because honestly, if y'all know me, my spiritual gifts and stuff, I feel a lot. And I worry about people that I've never even met. I worry about people I don't even know. Like even me watching the film, I'm looking at Mahershala Ali and I'm thinking of his beautiful wife. And I feel for her. Because I feel for her as his wife. Because I would be concerned about my Black Muslim husband in Hollywood. I would be terrified for him. And I would be praying. He would have all the herbs and all the nourishments and satchels and juju bags and everything, okay? Because I couldn't even imagine, And for me personally, I don't want to, the oasis is just an oasis. It's just that. So am I open to finding that? I'm open to that being anywhere. If I can find that or create that here in America, cool. If I could create that somewhere in Africa, cool. If I could create that somewhere in Asia, Europe, the islands, the Caribbean, cool. Wherever I can have that. And that's a transition I've gotten into. I've gotten into the transition where before I was looking for it. Now I'm open to creating it myself and manifesting it myself. But once again, it's just about where, we've tried it here multiple times, Tulsa, we've tried it. We tried it and look what happened. You know what I'm saying? So where, you know what I'm saying? Where could I create it? Where could we manifest it? So I'm open to the journey of looking and searching and finding, and I'm open to it being anywhere that it could be. I'm just following my spirit, and I'm not making any declarations. I've been to Jamaica before. I've been to Jamaica. Jamaica was beautiful. I want to go back to Jamaica though, because I want to go to the hood in Jamaica. When I was in Jamaica, I went with my sister for her 40th birthday. And although we went out into the community and I went to 9 Mile, they took me up to the mountains to see Bob Marley, and I went to the mausoleum where Bob Marley was laid to rest, as well as his mother, and all that good stuff. Beautiful experience, but I also want to go to the hood. Okay, I want to go to the hood in Jamaica. Okay, I'm trying to go to Kingston. I'm trying to be out there. Welcome to Jamrock. I'm trying to be out there. You feel me? And my the guy who took us he's a friend of my sister's. He was like, nah, I'm not taking y'all over there. Like he took us out to like the grocery store, like into the hood. But he was like, we ain't going to the hood. Like I'm not going there with y'all American asses. Okay, y'all ain't gonna get me, God. So I need to go with somebody who's real dada. You know what I'm saying? Somebody who's real respected in the hood, who ain't even gonna try it. You know what I'm saying? I need a Jamaican Gucci. Jamaican Gucci man. Who the Jamaican Gucci man? Who's the Kingston Gucci man? Somebody who got that Gucci man energy, but I'm chat like this. You know what I'm saying? I need somebody like that. You know what I'm saying? I want that type of energy. Not a Jeezy, a Gucci. You feel me? I'm trying to go. I need to feel safe. You feel me? I want somebody who they bout whatever. Don't nobody want no smoke. I want to go back to Jamaica though. And that's another thing. Like wherever I am, wherever the oasis is, I want it to be Black people. Black people. I went to Dunn's River. Yup, Ochos Rios, Duns River. I did all of that. Yup, the Duns River tourist, all of that stuff. So when I go back, I want to go to the hood. But yeah, like when I have the Oasis, I want to be around Black people. You know, I want honestly, and it's another thing about me too. Like people, they see me and they hear me and they know me, and if not even, I can't say know me, because if you know me you wouldn't think this, but people who don't really know me but they just see me and sometimes hear me, they think that I am anti-diversity, or I have a hatred for white people. I've even had to recently clarify this with a couple family members. I was like, I don't have a hatred for white people. I don't hate all white people. I don't have hatred. First off, hatred is a very heavy negative energy. I don't have hatred for all white people. I have a disdain for the existence of evilness. Okay? I have a disdain for the existence of evil in anybody. All right? That's how I feel. For real. Real disdain, okay, for the evil in anybody. And when you show me who you are, I believe you. Unfortunately, a lot of white people in America have shown us a threat of evil that I have a disdain for. Not all, but a lot. So with that being stated, I want for the Oasis, I want my children to grow up in diversity. You know, I didn't grow up with diversity. I grew up with Black people. You know what I'm saying? I grew up in Black. I always say I grew up Black as fuck. Okay, Black neighborhoods my whole life. Went to Black schools, nothing but Black friends. I didn't know white people or any other cultures, anything really. So, okay, you know, Latino people to us, Black people. But we all, that's one thing. We gonna know them. You know what I'm saying? But I didn't know any other culture. I want my children to be exposed to diverse cultures. I learned from traveling. I learned diversity of culture from traveling, that I want my children to know from a very young age. Of course, I want my children to travel the world and get the firsthand experience of the cultures. But even in our Oasis, I want my children to be able to taste Indian food and speak to Indian people who can talk to them about Hindu culture from their perspective. I want my children to know Native Americans and have Native American friends and have Japanese and Korean and Chinese. But you know, once again, this is the American dream shit that, you know, I would want my children to know that. I want my children to be able to have those cultural experiences. You feel me? So it's not even like, I'm not even the type that's like, this is just me personally. I'm not even the type that's just like, oh, you know, I don't want nothing but Black people in my Oasis. That's it. No, I want peace people in my Oasis. I want love people in my Oasis. I want education and enlightenment and spirituality in my Oasis. I don't give a fuck who you are. As long as your spirit is well, as long as your intentions are well and purely well. You know what I'm saying? That's what I want. That's what I want my children to grow up around. I want my children to be able to go meditate with Buddhists and meditate with Hindus and pray with Sunni Muslims and Shiites. I want my children to be able to go to the Baptist church and know how to do. I want my children to be there. I want my children to know some hymns out the hymn book. You ain't gonna be my child and not know gospel music. You know what I'm saying? But you also not gonna be my child and not know the prayer call. You know what I'm saying? You're not gonna be my child and not know what Ramadan is. I want my children to know all of that and have respect and reverence and care for all of that. So that's the Oasis for me. You feel me? That's the Oasis for me. And once again, at this point, I've gotten open to building that. You said Canada. I don't see myself staying in Canada forever. I've honestly thought about Canada. I've heard a lot about Canada. So y'all know in America, we fantasize about the healthcare system in Canada and everything. And that's another thing. I was talking to somebody, and this is how brainwashed America has a lot of people. This person was basically trying to say like free healthcare is not realistic. And I was like, not having free healthcare is not realistic. Do you understand how realistic free healthcare is in other countries? It's super realistic because it's the only reality that a lot of countries only know. A lot of places only know free healthcare. They don't know charging for healthcare. I was watching a YouTube video and a guy was in, I don't even know what country he was in, but he's a black guy. He's telling people like having them guess healthcare cost in America. So he's like, can you guess how much an ambulance ride is in America? And they're like, you gotta pay for the ambulance. Like that's the shock. They're like, you gotta pay to go in the ambulance. Oh, y'all gotta pay to go to the hospital. They gotta get over the initial shock, and then they guess shit like $25, $30. And the guy is like, no, $550, $500. They like $500, $600. They are shocked, and this is the reality in other countries. They can't even believe that this is our reality. What? Y'all pay for healthcare? What? You feel me? But see, in America, we that's a debate. Is that realistic? Is that feasible? And I'm sure there's a lot of other things that goes into having free healthcare, population, and diverse healthcare, and the type of healthcare, the quality of healthcare that we receive, and everything like that. So I'm aware that a lot is factored into whether or not we have free healthcare. But those are things we consider. So $75 for an ambulance here in Canada. See, that's the low. That's the low. It'll cost me $75 to take an Uber from here to certain parts of Manhattan. I'm in Brooklyn. Okay? That's an Uber ride to the next city over. You feel me? We pay hundreds for the ambulance in America. Ain't that crazy? But hey, hey, it's life, right? So once again, y'all, just watch Between the World and Me. The film is amazing. Trust and believe. This is not spoiler alert at all. This is not spoiler alert. You watch this film. Y'all, I told y'all I love films. I've never seen anything like this in my life. I've seen all the Eyes on the Prize and all of the Freedom Riders documentary and the Black Panther documentary. And another good documentary too. I meant to recommend this. I probably will put this in one of the newsletters, but I'm telling y'all now, the newsletter for the Wellness Committee, but I'm telling everybody now, if you haven't seen Free Angela and All Political Prisoners, Free Angela and All Political Prisoners. It's a documentary about Angela Davis, but they tell a story about Angela Davis and George Jackson and Jonathan Jackson and everybody, the Soledad brothers as a whole. They tell that story and about the Civil Rights Movement and the Black Panther Party and the Black Communist Party. Watch that documentary, Free Angela and All Political Prisoners. I'm pretty sure it's on a streaming platform. If not, Fire Stick it or whatever you got. You feel me? I'm pretty sure it'll pop up somewhere to watch, maybe on YouTube or Google or something. But that is an excellent one. That's an excellent one. Yes, Free Angela and All Political Prisoners. Excellent one. I watched that one over and over and over. That's another, y'all. So I'm the type of person, I will sit and watch the same documentary. A good docu, I call them docus, okay? A good docu, I will watch again and again and again. And that's one that I watch over and over. Also good books, too. I've gotten into the phase now where I grew up, of course, as we all did, grew up reading hard copy books. So what I'm doing now, it's on Amazon Prime. Thank you, K-Dub. It's on Amazon Prime. Free Angela and All Political Prisoners. Excellent film. But I've gotten into the space now that all of the books that I read when I was younger, because when I was younger, I was super revolutionary. All the books that I read when I was younger in hardcover, I'm now going back and listening to the Audible version of those books. So it's funny because I had just finished reading Ta-Nehisi Coates via Audible, finished listening to it. I'm now with a group of friends. We are all together going back and reading James Baldwin book. So I'm doing that now, like listening to all the Audible versions of the books that I read when I was younger. That made me think too, I want to get the Audible of Asada. I hope it's available. And I hope it's narrated by somebody good. I went back and listened to the Audible of For Color Girls Who Consider Suicide When the Rainbow Is Enough by Sasaki Shange. And the Audible version is done by Thandi Newton, who played in the movie, the Tyler Perry adaptation of the book. She played in the movie. She was, I forgot her color, but she was the woman who had been molested, Whoopi Goldberg's older daughter. I'm talking about Thandi Newton. Excellent narrator of that book. Excellent narrator of that book. Toni Morrison's books on Audible. I went back and listened to Sula. Sula is narrated by Toni Morrison. So Toni Morrison narrated her own book. So when you listen to most Toni Morrison books on Audible, it's like she's reading to you. Y'all, come on now. Oprah, I like Oprah's What I Know for Sure. That's an excellent book. So people be asking me for book recommendations. You see, I'm giving you quite a few now. What I Know for Sure about Oprah, excellent book. I listened to that on Audible. It's narrated in her own voice. Excellent book, okay? Excellent book. So I'm going back. Yes, Sula by Toni Morrison, Ntozake Shange, for color girls who consider suicide when a rainbow is enough. Excellent on Audible. Ntozake Shange, what is it? Cypress, Indigo, and Sassafras. That was one of my favorite books when I was a little girl. That one is also on Audible. Excellent. Thani Newton didn't narrate that one. I forgot the sister who narrated that, but it's a good narrator too. Cypress, Sassafras, and Indigo. Those are the three names. It may be in a different order, but that's also by Ntozake Shange. She's one of my favorite authors. But those are some people that I read. So once again, what I did, I read all of these when I was younger, and I'm now going back and listening to the Audible version, because of course it just elicits a new feeling to hear the words read to you. For color, not for color girls, that one, but The Coldest Winter Ever, all Sister Soldier books. All Sister Soldier books. She has not yet, last time I checked, she hadn't put her books on Audible, but you can find them narrated on YouTube. They be taking them up and down, so you just got to catch it when you can. But anything Sister Soldier, No Disrespect, of course, is one of my faves. And The Coldest Winter Ever, of course, cult classic, okay, one of my faves. But that one was excellent. And then for me personally, anything by Michael Eric Dyson, I love Michael Eric Dyson. Dope scholar, amazing scholar. I love Michael Eric Dyson. And everybody that I'm saying, this is something that we have to consider as a Black community, okay? Because of Michael Eric Dyson made me think of this thought. As a Black community, everybody that I'm saying, you may not agree with them. All of the books that I'm giving you, yeah, see, you said No Disrespect was a bit biased. I found it. Afro-Caribbean, that's an excellent perspective, and I can see how you got there. You know, you may not agree with Michael Eric Dyson. You may not agree with Ta-Nehisi Coates. He's controversial in some people's eyes. You may not agree with a lot of people and what a lot of people are saying, but at the end of the day, just listen. Just listen. Sometimes I like to read and watch and listen to people who have a completely opposing perspective from mine, because that's what makes you think. That's how you increase your critical thinking skills, okay? You gotta listen to people that you don't always quite agree with, or even nowhere near agree with. You always want to know how and what your opposition is thinking. Okay, so listen and read and listen and read. So Michael Eric Dyson, he's one of my favorite scholars, because although I don't agree with everything that he says, he is always very profound on how he articulates his points, and he does a good job of backing or validating his opinion with fact. Now, you may not agree with his opinion, but as you listen to the facts that he presents, you can see how he has come to his opinion. You see what I'm saying? And that's a lot. Not all authors do a good job at that. Okay, not all authors do a good job at that. Some people don't realize that their books are full of opinion. Okay, and they are full of they'll twist the facts to cater to their opinion. Michael Eric Dyson, I will personally say, to me, he's not a fact twister. He's gonna present the facts and state how he got to his opinion. So he very much makes you think. And watch his interviews too. He also, I love him because he does a good job of incorporating. I love hip hop. He does a good job of incorporating hip hop culture into his narrative and into Black history and his perspective in politics and everything. That also, speaking of politics, if y'all have not, Barack Obama and Oprah did a sit-down interview. Barack Obama's book is coming out as well, which I'm excited to hear and read, because I'm going to do both. His book is coming out. It's the first volume of the book, and of course, it's about his. The first volume is about his run for presidency, his background, his run for presidency, and the first 2 years of his presidency. So, from what I'm gathering, it's going to be 5 volumes. Each volume will be about in 2 year increments, and then the last volume is going to be post presidency and how he's living post presidency. That's what I'm gathering from what I'm hearing and reading as well. But the interview between, yeah, I can't wait for it either, Natty. Because the interview between him and Oprah, where he's discussing the book and he's discussing his campaign for presidency and his decision to run, y'all, that interview, we could do a whole nother live on that interview alone. Watch the interview with Barack Obama and Oprah. And I was telling my friend, my respect for Barack Obama grew, my perception of him shifted. Okay, my respect for him grew and my perception shifted, especially when he shares that story of him running for presidency and how Michelle Obama responded to him running for presidency. And he does the psychological unpacking of that decision. Okay, and I'm just gonna leave that at that. Y'all go watch that interview. It's on Apple TV. So go watch that interview and it's on Apple TV, but I'm sure you can find it other places too. Y'all know how we do. Okay, I don't know why they do this in 2020. They try to limit us to streaming platforms and stuff like that. They know niggas is gonna bootleg it. They know niggas is gonna bootleg it. They know we gonna find a way. Okay, somebody goes, I was telling my friend, I said, they got Hulu, Netflix, this and that. Do they really think that in black families especially, do they really think that me in my house is going to be a subscriber to Netflix, Hulu, and all its Stars and HBO and everything, and then my brother and my sister, they going to have their own subscription? No, nigga, we split it up. We split it up. We split up the descriptions, okay? You get the Netflix, you get the HBO, I'm gonna get the Hulu. This one got the Amazon Prime, and this is gonna be the password for everybody. And we put it in the group chat, okay? They know how we do. So find it if you can find it. But the interview is worth searching for, okay? Barack Obama and Oprah. And I'm going to end on that, all right? Because we've been on here for a while. My intentions was to unpack Between the World and Me film, the adaptation of Ta-Nehisi Coates' book, Between the World and Me. The film was amazing. It's on HBCU. It's on HBCU. No, it's not. It's on, why can't I think? I'm about to say Oprah Channel, because I done got way off topic. The damn movie is on HBO. Okay, Between the World and Me on HBO. Go watch the film if you can. Yes, thank you, Yayo Africa. HBO. It's on HBO Max, all the streaming HBO stuff, and I'm sure somewhere else too. Go watch the film. It's definitely worth it, and unpack it for yourself, okay? After you watch it, come back and watch this live and unpack it for yourself. You talking about FAMU, Spelman or Morehouse, right? Y'all have a good night, family. I'll probably be back on here much sooner than I was before, all right? But like I said, I like to only speak when I really have something to say, and when I feel the urge and when I feel the move. And honestly, a few topics was laid on my spirit that I want to go live and I want to discuss. The main one is teaching us how to go within, and teaching as a community, especially, for all of us, how to listen to your spirit and tap into your spirit. So I want to do some lives. I feel like it'll have to be a series though, and it's already been laid on my spirit how it should be broken down. But that's going to be a topic, okay, or topics coming up soon for us to be able to go in. I really want to teach people how to tap in and listen to your spirit and know the right versus the wrong, know when your spirit is speaking versus your mind versus your body, and all of that stuff, okay? So you can look forward to that coming up soon, but I'll keep y'all updated, okay? Shout out to the wellness community. Thank you, Orange Moon, for being a great moderator tonight. I appreciate y'all. Much love to everybody. Go watch the film Between the World and Me, Ta-Nehisi Coates. I appreciate y'all. Wellness community, I love y'all. I'll be in the chat, okay? Much peace. Hey, Sean. Love you, girl.